What's going on, everybody? My name is Josh, also known as joshtifyz here on the channel, and today is episode 1 of what I'm kind of testing out as a potential podcast for myself. Might have some other people on it as well at some point throughout the time here, but this week it's just going to be me. We're going to be doing it every single Monday. Last at least when I'm recording it right now, this is not going to go as any scheduled uploads, anything like that. This is just going to be something that I do by myself on a weekly basis, just as a separate uploaded video. So there'll be 2 videos uploaded on Mondays, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Right? This isn't going to take place of any of my gaming content, but this is me kind of taking a look at the real world of sports. As we go through mostly Kentucky. I attend the University of Kentucky, so I love the Wildcats, everything about them, and everything like that. Once we get into baseball season here in a couple weeks, we'll get into some of that as well. But right now it's just basketball. Football has ended, obviously. We'll look at some of the football news later on and see if there's anything interesting that's been going on. But this is something that I'm going to be able to do, talk to you guys about it. You guys can let me know what you guys think of the teams, stuff like that. Even if you're not a Kentucky fan and you're just a college sport fan, I will be covering big college sports stuff, but we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of the Kentucky Wildcats and every aspect of that. So starting off, obviously, I wanted to recap these past week of games. So last Wednesday, we played the Texas A&M Aggies. That was the game. That was an incredible game for the most part. It had me on the edge of my seat, yelling and screaming at the TV pretty much the whole game. But props to A&M. They had a great game. I believe they sold out their arena, obviously, and it actually, I looked it up, it was the biggest crowd in Reed Arena in the history of games being played there for A&M. So when Cal and everybody says that it's their Super Bowl, it really is. And we set a record by going in there this past Wednesday. We obviously won. We're just going to go over the stats, stuff like that, kind of my interpretations of some things from the game. We won the game 64-58. Now, if we can hold opponents to 58 points consistently in their home arenas, that's incredible. We scored 64 points, which isn't the best, but it is what it is. So again, if we take a look here at the box score, it'd be great if it would load. Why is it not loading? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So Sheboy played 32 minutes, was 2 for 5. You'd like to see him get that up a little bit, maybe 4 out of 5. Free throws though, perfect from the line, 4 for 4. Had a total of 14 rebounds. 8 points for him, 7 points for Keon Brooks, 8 points for Ty Washington, most of which coming towards the end of the game. Severe Wheeler had 8 turnovers, which is something that you really don't want to see from him. And 8 turnovers. He's been turning the ball over a lot, but that's just kind of the nature of his job on the team, is to try to create some congestion on that on the opponent's defense, and that comes with some turnovers. But if we can limit it to less than 8. I'd like him to have more assists than turnovers. He had 4 assists this past game, but he did have 12 points. He played pretty well. Was 2 for 2 from beyond the arc. One of 3 cats to hit a 3-pointer with him, Kellen Grady, and Davion Mintz. Kellen Grady, over 40% 3-point shooter on the season, comes in and shoots 2 for 10 from the field and 1 for 9 from beyond the arc with only 5 points. That's a big reason why this game really kind of kept close. If he hits his shots, we win most of the games that he hits his shots for. Jacob Toppin, one of the greatest bench players in college basketball, in my opinion. Might be a little bit biased, but he's had a great season. Had 9 points in that game, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 3 for 6 from the field, and had a stat in every category except for turnovers. So that's a good thing as well. So Mintz, like I said, right? Mintz played 30 minutes and was 2 for 7 from the field, 1 for 5. Right, he was the third cat to hit a 3-pointer, but it is what it is. So as a team, we collectively from the field shot 36.2% from the field, 22.2% from 3, and less than 70% from from the free throw line, and that just isn't going to get it done. And I think we started to shore that up. We played a lot better against Auburn, which we'll get into here in a second. But overall, the game, my takeaways from the game is that Sahvir Wheeler is for real. The kid is really, really special when he's on the court, can create just absolute havoc when he's on the court, and he proved that he can play pretty much almost all 40 minutes. Now we'll get into what we think about these upcoming games this week and what's going to happen with that due to injuries and stuff like that. But overall, great game from Sahvir Wheeler there. I just like to see him turn the ball over a little bit less. So now if we're going to go ahead and get into the Auburn loss this past Saturday. That was a game that had me on the edge of my seat again as well the entire time. Tshiebwe had 16 points and 14 rebounds, second straight game with 14 rebounds, 4 blocks as well, 1 foul and 1 turnover, 2 for 2, again perfect from the free throw line, 7 for 12 from the field, which is also really good. He played 38 of the 40 minutes on the court. Keon Brooks, I was very disappointed with Keon Brooks, 23 minutes, 6 points, and 4 fouls and 2 turnovers. Just not a good game from Keon whatsoever. 0 for 1 from 3, 3 for 7 from the field. So he did not have the best game. Ty, before he went down with an injury, played 9 minutes. It was actually like 8 minutes and 40 seconds, I believe. And he played 9 minutes, 2 for 4 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. Didn't get to any free throws. He had 1 assist, 1 steal, no turnovers, no fouls, and only 4 points. That was the biggest loss in that game. I really do believe, and this is me being semi-biased but unbiased at the same time. If Ty stays in the game, I think we win it. At least make it close. Even though it was only a 9-point game at the end of the game. It's not a secret that we go from holding them to 29 points in the first half to letting up almost double that in the second half. That Ty is a difference maker. A lot of people don't talk about his defense, but the kid is a competitor on defense. When you go and watch him in person, the kid is always aware of what's going on defensively, and he just is able to really just stay with his man, defend really, really well. And him and Sahvir in our backcourt on the defensive side of the ball is an absolute nightmare for opposing teams. So when you take one of them out of the equation, it really hurts. Sahvir Wheeler played 36 minutes. Barring the injury that he had late in the game, he would have played all 40. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, 2 for 2 perfect from the free throw line. Had only 1 turnover in this game, 3 fouls, and 4 assists, 17 points. Him and Grady both tied for the most on the team, and Kellen Grady played all 40 minutes, shot 5 for 9 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and he had 2 fouls and 17 points. So a great game from Kellen Grady. He had an absolute phenomenal game, probably the best player for our squad in that game. But one thing that I take away from this is that we don't have a lot of depth right now. We don't have a lot of depth to play in these big games, right? Davion Mintz had to step up and play the other 31 minutes of guard play for Kentucky to replace Ty Washington. And we just don't have, we have depth, but we don't have quality depth, at least super quality depth, right? Because every time our bench players go in, we start to struggle, right? So if you look at our starters, right, 38, 23, 9, 36, and 40. 3 of those players played 36 minutes or more, right? Tshiebwe, Grady, and Wheeler all played above 36 minutes, or all played above 35 of the 40 total minutes against Auburn, and that's something that's not healthy. Obviously they can do it, but at the same time, you want to be able to give them a break, especially late in games when we need to start making shots and start playing more physical, because the intensity is going to ramp up, especially when we walk into Allen Fieldhouse this Saturday in Lawrence, Kansas, to face the Jayhawks. We need to have physicality throughout the entire game. Kansas is a physical basketball team, man, and if we can't play physically at the end of the game, we're going to lose. Because I think Kansas is going to be a lot closer of a game, barring any stupid, dumb injuries again, but I really think that we'll be able to do it. So if we take a look, right, Keon Brooks, let me say right now, I don't think Keon Brooks should be starting. If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think Keon Brooks should start. I think Jacob Toppin should start. I think that he should start. He had 5 fouls in this game, but the refs were calling. Let me clarify one thing here. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, oh, the refs cost us the game. We had many chances to win that game, regardless of what the refs called. They called ticky-tack fouls on us. They called ticky-tack fouls on them. They missed calls against us. They missed calls against them. I personally think maybe this game in particular, they had more fouls against us that hurt us in a bigger way than Auburn did, but both teams were called for a lot of fouls. But I feel like our fouls were more impactful for the game, if that makes any sense. But I'm not going to blame the refs for this game. I'm going to blame an injury to Ty Washington, which is just, sucks. It is what it is. Landed after making a jump shot, landed on Sheboy's foot, rolled it. I think he'll be fine. We'll get into that in a second. But I think Jacob Toppin should start starting. When we play Mississippi State tomorrow, I really think that Toppin should start. I think that he deserves it. I think that he's been playing better than Brooks. And if Cal goes based on his philosophy, he likes to play the hot hand. And I think Keon would also find some success from being on the bench. Might help him focus. Doesn't have to be the veteran 3-year Kentucky starter guy. He can kind of play a role, which I think will be a lot better for him personally. Other than that, Dante Allen got in there with no points, was 0 for 1 with 2 fouls. He just had a bad game as well. Lance Ware got in there for 2 minutes. Jacob Toppin had 18 minutes. Bryce Hopkins had 1 minute. And Damion Collins did not come in whatsoever. I think Damion Collins would have been a nice counter to Walker Kessler in that game, but at the same time, it is what it is. We need some guys to come off the bench and make a bigger impact. At the beginning of the season, guys like Davion Mintz, who's actually having a good stretch of games here, don't take anything away from Davion, but Damion Collins has cooled off ever since SEC play started immensely. I mean, this kid, I was there when he dunked over somebody against, was it Mount St. Mary? I think it was against Robert Morris when we put up 100. He put a man on a poster. He has the length, he has the ability, he doesn't have the strength right now. He plays a lot bigger than he actually is in terms of like mass. But the kid needs to, I don't know what is happening in practice. I'm not in the Joe Kraft Center, right? I'm not there. I wish I could be, trust me. But I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. But something is not right with Damion Collins in terms of his performance. The fact that Dante Allen got into the game and not Damion Collins tells you something is wrong with Damion Collins, right? So we'll see what happens against Mississippi State. You take it one game at a time. As a team, collectively, we shot 50% even from the field, 41% from 3, which is great, and 80% from the free throw stripe. Auburn shot better in the from the field and from the free throw line, and just behind us in the beyond the arc category. So overall, it is what it is. We'll take it, but again, our bench having a combined 11 points with one of our starters being out the entire time, and with another starter having only 6 points, we're not going to win a whole lot of games like that. And I knew this going into it. If this game stayed in the 65 to 70 point range, we had a chance to win this game. But if it got into the mid-high 70s, low 80s, Auburn's going to take over that game. So we had so much control over the game until that in the first half, and the second half it just blew off. And I really do think a good portion of that was Ty Washington's absence, because you don't prep for those things, right? I mean, these kids are all good. I feel like if we prepped all week without Ty, we'd have a better chance. But the roles that these kids play, the roles that these players play, is going to differ based on who's on the court, and it's hard to adjust that mid-game in an environment like like Auburn's arena, right? It's not easy. But hats off to Auburn. They played a great game. Hats off to our guys. I think they fought a hard game as well. And we'll be back. We'll be back for sure. But, you just got to move on. So, again, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say anything negative. You win or you learn, right? And I think this is a big learning point. And I think the biggest learning point is that we're not as strong with Washington not on the court. So we're going to move on to the next piece that I wanted to talk about, and that is looking ahead to Mississippi State and Kansas. Those are the two games we have this week that will be covered. In recap then next week, if that makes any sense here. So if we go ahead and go back to this here, if we take a look against our Mississippi State opponent, ESPN has us as an 85.7% favorite. So yeah, they're picking us, right? 87.5% chance to win this basketball game. Molinar is their leading scorer with 17.7 points per game. Shibwe is leading us with 16.1 rebounds. Brooks is their leading rebounder with 6.5. Obviously, Shibwe is our leading rebounder with 14.8. Assists, Wheeler 6.9. Molinar with 4.3. So Molinar is obviously their biggest factor there. Obviously, Molinar is their biggest factor there. If we take a look at the full player stats here, maybe I don't think we really need to go into that. I don't think. But the money line, we're a 9.5 favorite. Over under is 147. And we are at Rupp Arena this time. I think this game is not necessarily an easy win, but I really think that we have a very, very solid chance to win. I will be at the game in attendance in Rupp Arena, and I really feel like we have a good shot to win this game. So we'll do what we can, right? But I think key pieces. We're going to see what's going to happen with Ty Washington. I have a good feeling he's not going to play, especially with Kansas on Saturday. We want him for Kansas. And apparently there's actually a solid chance Shaden Sharp plays, right? That's one big point that I wanted to get to here in an article written by I'm not gonna on SB Nation. It was an article on SB Nation, right? Shaden Sharp now practicing with teammates amid backcourt injuries. So overall, right? John Calipari said, and I quote, "We may not have any guards tomorrow. We don't know. Thank goodness the game is at 9 p.m. We got a little more time, but we don't know yet. We don't know," end quote. So that is essentially what he says. John Calipari also declined to give any injury update on Ty Washington and Severe Wheeler, but also says that Davion Mintz and Kellen Grady ran point at practice today. He also said that Shaden Sharp practiced with the team today for the first time, and amid these injuries, if we don't have either of our backcourt starters, Shaden might have to start. Not start, no, God no. He probably won't start. I see Severe playing, but I don't see Ty playing. But I do think that Shaden's going to get some time, I think. There's a good chance that Shaden suits up for the Cats tomorrow and actually plays. I know that Rupp Arena would absolutely explode once he steps on the court, whether we're winning or losing. I know Cal's going to try to do it without him, but you also don't want to throw him in there in a hostile type game, right? So it's going to all depend. It's going to be how we feel tomorrow at Rupp and see how it goes. But it is what it is. Calipari also said on Shaden Sharp, he said, quote, "If he plays, we got to say we're only doing these 2 to 3 things. He's only been here for 2 to 3 weeks, so what does he do? Score the ball. I haven't decided if he'll play. We'll see." End quote from Calipari. Cal also said, quote, "The last couple of days he's stepped on the gas a bit." And then end quote, another quote, "They've been watching him do some things and looking over at me like, come on now." End quote. Practically saying that all of his teammates, coaches that have been working with Shaden specifically, such as Calipari's son, Brad Calipari, who has kind of been in charge of Shaden's development up to this point, they'll look at him after doing something, look at him and say, come on now, let the kid play. He's ready. So he got a lot of reps in today. Cal said if he does play, he's got, like Cal said, if he plays, he's going to have to do really simple things, and that's going to be, and this is the big scoring, the big point for Cal, right? Cal said he's just going to have to score the ball. That's all we're going to ask him to do, right? Now I don't know about you guys, but as a Cats fan, that makes you, as a Kentucky fan, that makes me extremely excited, but also very nervous, because Cal said that if he is to play, it would be in a desperate situation, right? Or a situation where, I mean, I personally don't think I don't want him to play until end of the season, because you want him to be ready, right? You don't want to take risks. I mean, Shaden is one of the best, if not the best recruit to come into Kentucky, and we don't want to ruin anything, right? I mean, this is you're treating this with baby gloves, right? You want to make sure he's ready, and I don't like the fact that injuries might be pushing that forward. You see what I'm saying here? I would love to see Shaden play tomorrow night at Rupp. I think the crowd would go absolutely bonkers and bananas. I know they would. I don't think they would. I know they would, but overall, we'll see how it goes, right? I think Mississippi State's a winnable game with or without Ty. Without Severe, I think it's going to be a dogfight. With Severe, I think we win that game. I don't have a whole lot of doubt there. With Ty, I think it's a blowout. But we'll see how it goes. I don't think Cal's going to rush Ty back with Kansas being next week. So you want to make sure he's ready for Kansas. But it does kind of scare me that Severe didn't play at practice today. But we'll see how it goes. But we'll see how it goes. So now if we look to the Kansas game now. Oh, click on it here, Kansas. So if we look at the Kansas game, Kansas has a 59.7% chance to win. The Cats have a 40.3% chance to win. Agbaji is obviously their leading scorer, one of the leading scorers in the nation, with 20.4 points per game. However, he played Oklahoma, was it, last week, and was held to 0 points in the first half and 0 points all the way up until about the last 5 minutes. I'm going to be watching very closely the Kansas-Texas Tech game tonight, and seeing how a team that's similarly ranked as us handles it, and see what Agbaji does. Rebounds, McCormick with 6.8, obviously Sheboy leading with 14.8. Assists, Harris Jr. is their leading assist man with 3.8, Severe with 6.9. Overall, I know Kansas is a great team. Obviously, if we can look at their statistics here, they have two guys averaging more than 15 points a game, Ochai Agbaji and Christian Braun. Braun with 15.3 and Agbaji obviously with the 20.4. But all of their starters are averaging more than 8 points a game. So they're averaging a lot of points a game. We'll see how that goes. As a team collectively, they are shooting. They're shooting just below 50% and 36.7% from beyond the arc. This would be a big win if the Cats can do it. This would be a big statement win, especially since, Kansas doesn't lose. Kansas doesn't lose at home. They just don't, So they're 16-2 on the season. They lost to Dayton in a neutral setting, and they lost at Texas Tech. And they lost at Texas Tech, and they're playing Texas Tech at home tonight. So tonight will be a good, and Texas Tech is ranked number 13 in the nation. So it's going to be a very good gauge of what we're looking at here. A team that's very similarly ranked to us, and see how they play in Allen Fieldhouse and how that goes. So it's going to be very interesting tonight. Texas Tech is 1-0 against them on the season, so we'll see how it goes. But I think it's a winnable game, but we have to play at our best. Allen Fieldhouse is probably, if not the hardest places to play in college basketball. I'm pretty sure that that Kansas has more ever since Bill Self took over as head coach. I'm pretty sure he has more Big 12 championships than losses at Allen Fieldhouse. Championships versus losses, right? He has more championships than losses at this place. So I'm pretty sure I looked it up a couple days ago, and it was like they had like a .951 winning percentage. So that's like a 95.1% winning percentage ever since the 2000s. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, man, it's going to be an insane game. I'm excited for it. Wish I could be there. Wish they were playing at Rupp, but it is what it is. So we'll get there. We'll get there. But they play Texas Tech tonight, so I'm really going to take a close eye on that. So next thing that we want to take a look at here is the AP poll. Right, the AP poll came out. AP poll came out this afternoon. Auburn took over the number 1 spot, well deserved. 18-1, just beat us. Gonzaga 2, Arizona 3. Baylor is 4, Kansas is now 5, moved up from 7. Purdue, after losing to Indiana, went from 4 to 6. UCLA went from 9 to 7. Houston is now tied at 7, actually. Duke at number 9, going 6 to 9 after losing at Florida State this week. Michigan State moves from 14 to 10 after beating Wisconsin. Wisconsin then moves from 8 to 11. Kentucky stays at number 12. And then you have Texas Tech, Villanova, USC, Ohio State, Providence, Tennessee, LSU, UConn, Xavier, Marquette, Iowa State, Illinois, and Davidson, with the teams that dropped out being, I believe it was Alabama and Texas, were the two teams that dropped out, with BYU, Bama, and Texas outside looking in. I think that the AP poll did a really good job. I think maybe you could drop Purdue from 4 to 6, from 4 to drop them a little lower, maybe to 7 or 8. But overall, I mean, they've had a good season. I don't really have any complaints about this top 10. I don't have any complaints about this AP poll. I think they did a very solid job ranking people really where they should be ranked. I think they actually did a really good job this week. Next thing, Kentucky football news. Now, if I did a podcast last week to this week, obviously 3 days ago, Javon Baker committed to Kentucky. He was an Alabama Crimson Tide 4-star receiver, had limited attempts, had limited games with the Tide over the past season, going into his sophomore campaign now. And I believe he might be a junior. Actually, I think he's going to be a junior next year. So he is a sophomore right now. I believe. Might have to fact check me on that, boys, but that's what we're looking at. And overall, not really any other news. One thing that I've been kind of looking at here is Brew McCoy. Played at Mater Dei with Bryce Young. There has been literally zero news about him in the transfer portal. Zero news whatsoever. He goes from USC to Texas to USC. Did he go from Texas to USC? Okay, he committed to USC, decommitted, commits to Texas, transfers to USC, and then now enters the transfer portal after his junior season. So interesting, to say the least. He's a great player. Has had some trouble with the law, but he's a projected first. He was a projected first-round pick. And if Kentucky can grab him, that would be insane. There has been no talk about where he's going to go whatsoever. There's been no crystal ball predictions. There's been no news articles ever since he entered the transfer portal. Nothing. Dead quiet. But definitely want to take a look at him for sure for Kentucky. If we take a look at some big games coming in here for college basketball this week, if we take a look at the schedule, big games here. If we look here, if I can sort it by the top 25, maybe. No. So tonight we obviously have Texas Tech and Kansas. Tonight, Tuesday, we have Michigan State and Illinois. That'll be a good one. Duke and Clemson might not be too bad. Kentucky and Mississippi State, obviously. UCLA plays Arizona at 11 p.m. Tuesday night. That'll be a very, very good game. Wednesday, Xavier versus Providence, a Big East matchup there. Anything else big? Doesn't look like it. A&M versus LSU might be a decent game. Wednesday, that is Wednesday. Thursday, any ranked v ranked matchups here? Thursday looks a little dry. Purdue and Iowa might not be too bad, but nothing other than those two. Friday, no ranked teams play Friday. Saturday, we have Duke and Louisville, LSU and TCU. Auburn at Oklahoma could maybe be an upset alert, potentially, probably not. Arizona and Arizona State. Marquette and Providence. We have obviously Kentucky and Kansas. Tennessee and Texas. And that wraps up the week. Let's go ahead and check out the Sunday. Ohio State and Purdue play on Sunday. That'll be a good one. So that's about it. So other than those games, not really a whole lot there. So that's going to end this podcast here. We ran about 32 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed this first little podcast thing that we had going here. And overall, I hope you guys tune in next week where we talk about the games from the past week, talk about big games, and anything else that you guys can suggest in the comments section down below, please do. I'm all ears. I'd love to hear what I could do better, what you guys want to hear me talk about, want to get any takes that I have on certain things. Let me know in the comments section down below as well. And thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.